one of my family friends gave me some information about a course that's called Caregiving While Black. And it is focusing on people who are caregivers for someone with dementia. It's a self-guided course. And from that course, the person who created it, Dr. Fayron Epps, I had the pleasure of her interviewing me to like bring me on to be a part of the course, and she will be joining us tonight. So I'm gonna give you guys a little rundown about Dr. Epps. She is a nurse with over 20 years of experience and currently serving as assistant professor at Emory University's School of Nursing. She has devoted her career as a nurse leader to reducing health disparities for underserved populations through innovative, culturally relevant programs for the African American community. Her program of research involves evidence based practices for promoting quality of life for African Americans living with dementia and also their family caregivers and care partners through self care and meaningful activities. Dr. Epps oversees several faith based research related projects, including the Altar Program, which is a nurse led, dementia friendly congregation program for which she is the founder. She serves on several local and national professional boards, and she also works to place culturally tailored, evidence based programs and interventions in the hands of the individuals who need it the most. And it is my pleasure and honor to welcome Dr. Epps to the ladies' room.
Woo!
Hi.
Wait,
Thank you.
can you
Yes.
back up so we can see your shirt? I love
Hold up.
sparkles.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Tuskegee.
HBCU.
HBCU
HBCU
love.
her
Yeah,
sequin
HBCU
covered
love.
Tuskegee shirt on today. Guys, representing for all HBCUs here.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that introduction, Jen. And this is such a issue. And I'm glad you all have me here so we can talk about this. That's really impacting the Black community. It's almost like that silent epidemic dementia is. And then when you have dementia,
Right.
you have caregivers and care partners, right? That people don't even talk about neither. And so I'm so glad to be on this platform for us to talk about it and let's discuss it, have some real conversation.
Well, we appreciate
Thank
you
you
being
so much for being here. We really appreciate it. So first, there are some statistics that we ran across that we wanted to just like throw out there for our audience to consider. How many people think that significant loss of cognitive abilities or memory is a natural part of aging? If you think so, say yes, type that in the chats, or you can type no if you don't think that significant loss of cognitive abilities is a natural part of aging rather than a disease. So, from the research that we found, there are actually 55% of Black people think that it's a natural part of aging rather than it being a disease. Do
Wow.
you find that to be something that is prevalent, Dr. Epps, with the people that you speak with?
Yeah, and it's one of the myths that I try to debunk. Anytime I go out in the community, educate, a lot of people think the signs and symptoms of dementia are normal parts of aging, and it's not. It is not normal. And we keep pushing it off, and that's when we're so late for diagnosis and we're late to get any kind of assistance because we're thinking, oh, that's normal, but it's not. I think we do need to be aware when we have that cognitive impairment, and it's more than just memory loss. So let me let y'all know, it's not just for forgetting
Yeah.
something. It's so much more than that, and we have to pay attention to all the signs. And I would love to hear
So,
from
can you
others.
tell us some of the other things?
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe if y'all
I'm
had,
sorry.
I
Can you
want to
tell us
see
some
if
of the
y'all
other
knew
things?
some of the other signs, Jen. But
Yeah.
memory loss is one of the most common ones, but also impaired judgment. So making poor
Hmm.
decisions. This is where the scammers come in at. Um,
Right.
Vision is impaired. So we get people getting in accidents, they lose their vision, personality changes, um, unable to take care of themselves. they cannot follow tasks. So simple tasks like make some coffee, you'll start seeing that they won't be able to do that. And for y'all, most of us are working. People tend to at work start picking up on the signs and symptoms before people at home pick up on them, because that person at work is going to eventually stop
Right.
not being able to perform and follow all the tasks like they used to do. If they did accounting, teaching, I hear y'all talk about teaching a lot, grades not getting in. It's just be things like that. And so I try to educate all so we'll know it's not just memory loss. That's just one thing, but it is so much more. Each lobe of your brain, y'all, is responsible for something. And dementia is a disease of the brain. So it depends on what lobe it's at,
Mm-hmm.
on the signs and symptoms you will see.
So, what made you get into this field of study, like dementia, Alzheimer's? What is there something personal that triggered your interest to be a
It,
pioneer for this field?
it was almost, I want to say my lack of knowledge. I don't want to say the stupidity, but when I finished my PhD, someone said, well, what type of family caregivers you want to work with? I'm like, I just want to work with family caregivers because that's big in my family, taking care of our
Mm-hmm.
other family members. They said, no, you need to narrow it down. So I went to the literature, I started reading, and I seen Alzheimer's disease impacting the Black community. I said, that's a lie, because we don't get that. That's for white people. And because that's how I was
Mm-hmm.
raised. Even as a nurse, y'all, even when I was in a hospital, I really only seen white people with the diagnosis. I never really seen too many people that look like me. So I just thought that was a lie. And then everything I read kept on saying that Blacks are twice more likely to get it than white people. And I was like, how is this? I don't know nobody with this at that time. And this was in 2013. I finished my PhD in 12. So 2013, I didn't know anybody. And so I started reading the signs and symptoms, and I was like, wait, hold up. Hold up. I think I might know somebody in my family that has these exact signs and symptoms. And we're thinking she's contrary, but she really was showing signs and symptoms of dementia. And so that's when I took it on, Cam, as you know what, this is my personal mission to go to find and seek out Black families that are facing this and hear their stories and let me learn from them, so then I can share what they are doing and then also develop programs that can help them. And so that's how I got started. And now, like I said, my aunt ended up, she did have dementia, but I didn't find out until after she died. She was found in her house by her, locked up by
Oh,
herself.
wow.
And only her
Oh,
one daughter
wow.
who lived in Georgia knew she had dementia and didn't share it with nobody. And she stayed in Louisiana. And so we just thought she was
Wow.
contrary. You know how them great aunts could be. Like you'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, she in the house. We're gonna leave her alone because she cursed all she do all this crazy stuff.
Right.
But if we was just known she had dementia, somebody would have made sure they checked on her every day.
Now, my
And
grandfather, he
I
passed
think that's
in.
huge.
Oh, go ahead, Jen.
Go ahead.
I was just going to talk about how my grandfather passed on New Year's Day. He had dementia. And because he provided a quality of life for my family, we made sure towards the end of his life that, we felt obligated and a sense of duty to make sure that his quality of life was also, up to par. Do you think that Black families or families in general are obligated or to take care of you know the elderly and sick ones?
Cam, I think it varies on that family. So a lot of literature is saying that the Latinx families, Black families, they tend to have more family obligation compared to whites. And some of my previous research actually showed that. But I think as time is passing, it depends on the how that family is set up. Because I am starting to see where there are some families that are okay, families of color, of putting their family members in nursing homes just because of
Mm.
the situation. Because now they can afford it. Back then you couldn't afford it, because I don't know if y'all know the price, but nursing home is like $6,000-7,000 unless you then spent everything down and you're going through Medicaid. So it's very expensive. But now people are working and can afford some of the placement. They have long-term care insurance now. So there's a lot of things in place that we're starting to see more people of color in the nursing home. And I want to say something. I wanted one comment. I think Frida Mack, she said, I didn't know anyone diagnosed. And I have to say, you're right. I didn't know any. I probably knew people, but they weren't officially diagnosed. I just have to go back and correct that because they are correct.
Right.
Well, Dr. Epps, I'm glad that you mentioned the comments, because we do have a question here from Charnel Anderson. She asks, "Is dementia hereditary? My dad is 66 years old, has 11 siblings. He and 5 of them have it. 2 of them have already passed. So is dementia something that is hereditary? Is it something that we need to be looking out for if our parents or grandparents have it? What is your knowledge on that?"
So running in a family history is a risk factor. It doesn't mean 100% that you're going to get it, but it says that you're more at risk. So I would say my recommendation is to start looking at brain health activities and what you can do to combat that risk, to reduce your risk. So it is a risk factor that puts you more likely to get it. And there is certain genes that will actually show the definite, that it's more definite that you will get it. But insurance companies do not cover that. And mostly only people find that out
Right.
is when they enroll in clinical trials.
Wow, and I think that's a great point too, because the next question that we have is from Aaron. How early can we catch this in order to possibly treat or cure it?
So when I go in our community, I promote people to know their number, their brain number, do memory screenings. And a lot of people think, oh, I don't do that until I'm old, until I'm 65. And that's not the case. I do memory screenings on teenagers. And they have teenagers out there that have signs and symptoms of dementia, and I'm asking them to follow up. And, one of the things you at home right now can do your memory screening by going to My Brain Guide. It's something you can do in the own privacy of your home. And you
Okay.
can do that whenever you have any concerns. And even as a caregiver or a family member, you have concerns about somebody else, you can still take that questionnaire and they'll let you know if you need to follow up with someone. So it's never too early to test and to kind of know where you're at. One of the biggest problems is, but when blacks, and so that's how we did the course, Jen, Caregiving While Black. The biggest problem is when we have a diagnosis or we start seeing the signs and symptoms and we bring it to the doctor, we get dismissed. I've had a lot of people that said, I think I have it, Fayron and Dr. Epps, and I'm like, okay, let's go to the doctor. And then the doctor is saying, oh, that's a scam. You don't have it. You're too young. And they just dismissing instead of doing all the battery of tests that needs to be done so we can really know, because there are some things that can mimic dementia. But let's really find that out. But it's not just with dementia. That's something with us as Black people. We tend to face these challenges when we interact with the healthcare system where we're not taken seriously. A lot of providers do dismiss our concerns. And so with my course, I try to empower Black caregivers and give them the tools that they need so when they go there, they can demand and have some better outcomes.
Dr. Epps, this isn't necessarily about dementia, but caregiving in general. Before my mother passed, my sister and I struggled through years of sibling rivalry, and really bad around the time my mother got sick back in 2009. But we were able to pull ourselves together and take care of what needed to be done in order to provide round-the-clock care for my mother. And thinking of if we weren't, what advice would you give to siblings and families who just can't get it together and stop the feuding and competition or sibling rivalry in order to care for aging parents who need care?
That's such a great question. I get people present this to me a lot. And one of the main things I say is recognize your sibling's gift. Everybody's not put here to be that primary caregiver. Everybody's not put here to bathe and get dressed and do all of that. We have to recognize each other's gifts. And so maybe your sister is really good with the finances. Let her manage the money. That's so much off of you. Let her pay the bills. The thing is, we have to recognize what people are good at. And I had one family, they mastered this. Everybody had a gift. Grandson cut hair. Guess what? He came and cut his grandfather hair every 2 weeks. The daughter didn't have to worry about that. Somebody else was good with cooking. That's what they did. So I think we have to recognize those gifts, and especially when we live far apart, see what they're good at, and don't get mad because everybody's not built. And this is just really real, because I'm one of the ones that's not built for the day-to-day, but my brother is. He's built for that day-to-day to be with my mom. I'm built for telling them what to do. And I'm just being real, but my family, we've had that discussion, and we all have gifts. I can tell you what to do. I can manage. I can make appointments. I can do all of that. And my brother, he has that patience, and he will be that person that will be there every day. And so I think we just have to recognize that and not get mad when we have a sibling that stays in California and we feel like they're not doing anything. Find out what they can do from afar and let that be. And I think that will help reduce a lot of the rivalry and the confusion.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much,
so
Dr.
much.
We
This
really,
was
really appreciate it.
very informative.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we didn't get to the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia, so y'all please make sure y'all look that up because that's really, really big. But I'm so glad to be here, and feel free to reach out to me. And I hope we had some great discussion and some learn.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, we did. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much.